In Acts chapter 2, we learn that the early church was discipled every day, sitting under the apostles' teaching in the temple courts, and the church exploded. Pastor, what would happen to your church if you were able to disciple your people every day? And if you were able to reinforce a key point from your Sunday sermon? Do you think they'd forget what you preached about? No, they'd remember and be much more likely to live it out. Welcome to Hybrid Plus Preaching. My name is David Merrill, the online preaching coach, and today I'm going to teach you how to do a Hybrid Plus sermon. In our last video, I showed you how to do a hybrid sermon, pre-record the middle of your sermon, and then when you deliver it live, you do a live introduction, a live preparation, and then a live time of application. But the middle of the sermon is the most important. That's the part that lives forever on your video channels, your YouTube, etc. It's built for the internet. It's designed to capture attention right away. It contains a visual so that people will watch it, and it's of the optimal length for online discovery and viewing. Now, Hybrid Plus adds to that model by creating a video promo that invites people to church on Sunday to hear the specific sermon you will be delivering live and in person. And you also create 5 video or text devotions based on your sermon that go out on Monday through Friday, and each one of those messages reinforces a key point from your sermon. So, if you haven't already watched my previous 2 videos about hybrid preaching, watch those. Those are prerequisites to understanding what I'm going to be talking about in this video. And one more thing, if I can ever be of assistance to you, please visit my website, davidmerrill.com. Drop me a line if you'd like to be trained personally in these methods that I'm talking about. I'd love to talk to you about that. So it's time to start Hybrid Plus Preaching. The Hybrid Plus sermon is designed to turn the weekly sermon into a disciple-making and evangelism machine by multiplying the opportunities for review and for invitation for your members, to equip people to invite their friends and to review your sermons so that your points stick. Our current model of preaching is the single monologue delivered live from a stage, presented on Sunday, no follow-up, no opportunities to invite people. Now, the hybrid sermon that we saw in our last video, you produce a 10 to 18 minute middle of your sermon, and on Sunday you present it with a live wraparound, a live preparation, and a live application. Hybrid Plus preaching takes this to the next level. On Wednesday, you not only record the middle of your sermon, but you also produce 6 other pieces of short content, a promo inviting people to church, and 5 devotions that go out Monday through Friday based on your sermon. So here are the things you shoot on Wednesday: the promo, the sermon itself, and then the 5 devotions. And then just like with hybrid, the Hybrid Plus is the same on Sunday. You do the live preparation, the 18-minute sermon, and the application, but you have all these other pieces of content working for you during the week. So on Wednesday, you shoot your sermon promo. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, you release it to your members. It's an invitation to people to come and hear the sermon that is coming up this Sunday. Come and join us at church. The other reason you want to do one of these is you can ask your members to share this promo with their friends as an invitation tool. Now, there's something in the church called invitation anxiety. People want to invite their friends to church, but they don't know who's speaking and they don't know what the topic is going to be. By sending this promo out, you make it very easy for people to invite their friends. I've had this experience where you invite a friend to church and then there was a guest speaker and he was terrible. Or the sermon was about giving and tithing and generosity. And it was just the worst week to invite a friend. By sending out this promo and telling people exactly what you're going to be speaking about, you relieve that anxiety and you make your members confident to invite their friends. One other thing I would do with this promo is by targeted ads on social media. Target people within a 5-mile radius of your campus. Target people who have searched terms like churches near me or church in my area. And put this ad in front of them so that they will try you on Sunday. So here's an example of what a promo would look like. This is a promo I created for my mythical church, Sunnyside Church. Take a look. Is God deaf? Have you ever prayed for something and nothing happens? You pray for grandma to be healed and she dies. You pray for money and the bills keep piling up. You pray for that promotion at work and it goes to that suck-up who threw you under the bus. You pray to be delivered from your tormentor, but it just gets worse. This Sunday, we'll be answering the question, is God deaf? Does he really hear our prayers, or are we just talking to the ceiling? Join us this Sunday at 9:45 or 11 a.m. at Sunnyside Church on Highway 72 in Cedarville. We do church a little differently. Our services are brief, just 45 minutes long. We sing a couple of songs, take communion, and then we teach from the Bible using visuals so everyone stays interested. We think it's important for kids to worship with their parents, so everyone worships together. We encourage you to hang out before and after the service, grab a cup of coffee, and make a friend. Now, don't be intimidated by all those images you saw in that promo. You can just do a straight appeal to the camera, as long as you leave some room in the frame to put a provocative title or a provocative question that will get people to watch your promo. Is God deaf? Have you ever prayed for something and nothing happens? You pray for grandma to be healed and she dies. You pray for money and the bills keep piling up. You pray for that promotion at work and it goes to that suck-up who threw you under the bus. You pray to be delivered from your tormentor, but it just gets worse. This Sunday, we'll be answering the question, is God deaf? Does he really hear our prayers, or are we just talking to the ceiling? Join us this Sunday at 9:45 or 11 a.m. at Sunnyside Church on Highway 72 in Cedarville. We do church a little differently. Our services are brief, just 45 minutes long. We sing a couple of songs, take communion, and then we teach from the Bible using visuals so everyone stays interested. We think it's important for kids to worship with their parents, so everyone worships together. We encourage you to hang out before and after the service, grab a cup of coffee, and make a friend. Now, your daily devotions go out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Keep them short. Send them to subscribers via email, text, or push notification, and share them on the church's social media account every morning. Schedule them to drop on Facebook, on Instagram, early in the day. And so people who are friends with your church can see them, they can watch them online, and they can share them on their own feeds and start sharing devotional material with their friends. It's a great witnessing tool in the digital age. Each one is a review of a key point of your sermon. It also links back to your sermon so people who missed it can watch it in its entirety. The goals of this devotion is remind them so they remember what they heard. It gets them in the Word. You include a Bible reading. There's a faith builder exercise that teaches them how to live out their faith. And of course, you link to the sermon for those who missed it. It can also become a key communications channel for events coming up at your church. And we'll show you how to do that in a minute in the form of an email. Now, there are 3 different devotion formats you can choose. You can do custom devotionals based on your sermon points. I'm going to show you an example of one of those in a minute. You can do the sermon excerpt. If you just want to clip something out of your sermon, you can, but that's often more work, and you might have to do some creative editing. Or you can do a simple text devotional. If you have notes from your sermon, you can just take some of those notes, paste them into a text, add a little bit of illumination and scripture and extra content around it, and send that out as your devotion. All right, now I'm going to show you the first format, a custom devotional based on my sermon. This is the Monday devotional, God Helps Those Who Ask Expectantly. Is God deaf? Have you ever prayed for something and it didn't happen? This week's big idea is that God helps those who ask. Now, if you missed our Sunday message, I encourage you to watch it right now by clicking the button that just popped up. It's less than 20 minutes long, and it will help you become more faithful and effective in your prayers. Today's big idea is that God helps those who ask expectantly. Our Bible reading for today is the story of a boy in desperate need. His father brought him to Jesus' disciples who prayed to God, and nothing happened. Prayer didn't work until Jesus showed up. And then everything changed. The story is recorded in Mark chapter 9, starting in verse 17. If you have a Bible, I encourage you to grab it and read it for yourself. Or you can just listen as I read. It starts out this way. A man in the crowd is speaking to Jesus. "Teacher, I brought you my son, who is possessed of a spirit that has robbed him of speech. Whenever it seizes him, it throws him to the ground. He foams at the mouth, gnashes his teeth, and becomes rigid. I asked your disciples to drive the spirit out, but they couldn't." "You unbelieving generation," Jesus said, "how long shall I stay with you? How long shall I put up with you? Bring the boy to me." So they brought him. When the spirit saw Jesus, it immediately threw the boy into a convulsion.
He fell to the ground and rolled around, foaming at the mouth. Jesus asked the boy's father, "How long has he been like this?" "From childhood," he answered. "It has often thrown him into the fire or water to kill him. But if you can do anything, please take pity on us and help us." "If you can," said Jesus, "everything is possible for one who believes." Immediately the boy's father exclaimed, I do believe. Help me overcome my unbelief." And then Jesus heals the boy. God helps those who ask expectantly. Now look at this interaction. The father says to Jesus, "But if you can do anything, take pity on us." He didn't really believe. You see, Jesus gets mad. He says, if you can, everything is possible for one who believes. And that's our key point. If you expect God to answer your prayers, they will be answered. Now, sometimes our prayers go unanswered because we don't believe they will be. The crowds didn't believe. The disciples doubted, even though they'd been with Jesus and seen him heal many people. So, here's your faith builder for today. Pick one thing you want God to do in your life or the life of someone you love. Write it down on a piece of paper, fold it up, and put it in your pocket. Carry it around with you for days, weeks, months, however long it takes. And every time you see that paper, touch it in your pocket and pray for two things. First, ask for your prayer to be answered. And second, ask for the faith to believe that you will receive what you've asked for. Repeat the words of the Father in that story. I do believe. Help me overcome my unbelief. And even better, if you have a Christian friend, show them the paper. Pray with them. Now, tomorrow, we're going to learn how to wear God out with our prayers. Just flat out annoy God. See you tomorrow.
Now, here's an example of a sermon excerpt. I actually clipped this out of my sermon.
God helps those who ask expectantly. How many times do we pray but don't really expect God to answer? Maybe we just recite prayers from our childhood, or we offer perfunctory prayers, but there's no faith behind them. Maybe God has let you down or disappointed you in the past and you don't want to be hurt again. Bartimaeus had probably prayed many times for his eyes to be healed, and it had never happened. It is so hard not to doubt, but that's what Jesus tells us to do. One chapter later in Mark 11, he says this, I tell you the truth. You can say to this mountain, may you be lifted up and thrown into the sea, and it will happen. But you must really believe it will happen and have no doubt in your heart. God helps those who ask expectantly. You have to believe the mountain's going to move.
Now, once you have these devotions, how do you distribute them? You can send them out via text, via email. This is a sample email that I created using MailerLite, which is the platform I currently use for my ministry mailouts. And I'm just going to break it down for you real quick. At the very top, you'd put a sharing link so that people can share this daily devotion with their friends. And then you see the header. It's called Sunny Side Up because we're a Sunnyside church. Then you have the video right there with a big play arrow on it. And then there is that's the point of today's devotion. God helps those who ask expectantly. I am repeating my gold nugget phrase, God helps those who ask. And then expectantly was my first point. So that's my Monday devotion. Then I have a Bible reading here. This is our Bible reading for today is the story of a boy in desperate need. And then the Bible is right there. And then here's the problem. The disciples, there's the conclusion of the devotion. And then I have a button that you can click to read the rest of the story because you want them into the Bible. They might read more. Below that, I have something called the Faith Builder exercise. And this is an opportunity for you to give your folks some homework based on your sermon. So today's Faith Builder exercise is pick one thing you want God to do in your life or in the life of someone you love. Write it down, fold it up, put it in your pocket. You just saw this in the video devotion, but I've restated it here in text form. The next thing we see in the email is an opportunity to watch Sunday's sermon. Now, this is really important because people don't come to church every week anymore. They come maybe once a month, and so they've missed your sermon. This one says, God helps those who ask. Is God deaf? Does he hear our prayers? 14 minutes long. You click on the little arrow here, and the video pops up and plays.
You're going to get many more people watching your sermon if you give them an opportunity to watch it again. And once again, there are share buttons. People can share it with their friends. Below that, we've got a section called This Week at Sunnyside. And you can use this as a communication channel for people. These are the things that are going on at the church. You send this thing out every day. It reminds people of these exciting opportunities that are currently written in Latin here, but you can write them in English. Then below that, put in a section called Invite a Friend. On Thursday and Friday, once your promo is done, you can actually put your promo in for next Sunday's message. Watch this sermon preview and share it to your social media pages, or share it with a friend who might want to come to church with you next Sunday. Everything is about evangelism, sharing, sharing, sharing. Then you have your church identifier, your address. You click on this and it sends you a map. And then you've got Connect and your social icons here at the bottom. So that's how your daily devotions would go out, whether you put video or you just do text. You just harvest the material from your 10 to 18 minute sermon and restate it in the daily devotion that goes out. You're not creating a bunch of new content. You're just simply reinforcing the message that you delivered on Sunday. Now, what about my proto-seminarians? There's always people who want more content. I recommend that you do a deep dive. If you have more time and energy and content than you can fit into an 18-minute sermon or even into your live wraparound, do your deep dive. Go into the sermon topic more deeply. It can be unlimited length. It can be a podcast. Link it to your shorter sermon so that people who want that extra content can see it. And so now you've addressed all three audiences. You've created 6 pieces of content for the scrolling audience. It makes it easy for people to share via social media or text or email. You have medium-length content, which is ideal for YouTube, website, or in-person audience. And then you have extended content for people who want the full meal deal.